In order to find relief from tension in your upper back and middle back, this hard to access area, to be able to breathe more freely, to get rid of some pain that's burdening you or movement restrictions, all you have to do is to move your arms a little bit up and down and left and right. So that's an almost complete description of the exercise I want to suggest to you, a highly efficient exercise. But how? How do you have to move in order to make it work? And the how is as important, maybe even more important than the what. And if you can spare a minute, if you have a minute, let me guide you through this exercise to find the how to do it and to find relief. So, if you will, please come to lie down on your back. We will start in lying on the back. So first, lying down in a safe space, in a comfy, safe space, in itself is almost like a blessing. Just to lie down and rest, almost a big achievement to be able to do that, isn't it? So please lift your arms and point your hands or your wrists to the ceiling, so your both arms are standing upright like two little towers or candles. So that shall be our starting position, and you might have to play a little bit with the position of your arms so that they're really standing. Think of the Tower of Pisa, a building in Italy that's slanted. It's still standing, even though it's slanted. But we're looking for something more proper. So move your arms a little bit up and down and left and right to find where is the point where your arms are really almost standing, where they're supported by, almost, if you think of it, almost supported by the bones inside. So the two bones in your lower arm are stacked on the one bone in your upper arm, and the upper arm is kind of attached to your clavicle bone and to your shoulder blade, and the shoulder blade is standing on the floor. So can you stack those bones on top of each other, so to speak, and hold the arms up? A little bit strenuous, can it be? Yes. So let's help ourselves by interlacing the fingers. Bring your hands together, interlace the fingers, and see how much tension do you need to hold the arms up. Maybe it's easier with a lot of tension if you press your hands together and form a stiff triangle to point forwards in space from your perspective, up towards the ceiling from an outside perspective. Or can you release some tension so you can move your hands closer to the ceiling and let them drop as much as they would drop with keeping your arms straight and standing. So we have this little triangle. How much tension do you need in your fingers, actually, in your hands, to hold this position? So that's a part of the release, of course. And maybe you want to close your eyes and just feel how much effort is it, how much effort it is to hold your arms like that. And the more quiet you become, the more relaxed, we say, they say, you become, the better you can notice where is tension you actually don't need somewhere in your upper back, your shoulder blades. There was something you could let go, or maybe in your jaw, or there's something you don't need to hold, or maybe even in your legs, that's something you could just have your legs fall apart. And maybe you come to rest more and more with this constraint, with this mission of holding your arms up in front of you towards the ceiling. But what tension do you need, and what can you let go of? And then instead of dropping the arms, keep them there, keep them pointing in front of you, and move both hands a little bit closer towards your feet, just a little bit, and then up towards the ceiling. So there's a home position, the home position where the arms stand almost by themselves, and then there's a position where the arms would drop onto your lower belly if you would let them, but you don't let them, you keep them upright. So that's, you're moving along a tiny little segment of a thought circle. You're thinking a circle or an ellipse and a little segment of the ellipse. So you move your hands a little bit downwards towards your lower belly actually, and up in front of you, or maybe up towards your head side. Also, little part of this ellipse or circle or egg shape, your arms up and down. So that was the up and down movement I was talking about. But the how is to use the least tension. Again, so maybe you noticed in your shoulder, there's something you can let go of. Maybe you can feel your skeletal connection better, how your shoulder blades are actually made from a material that's hard, bone, and standing like a plate on the floor behind you, or on the bed or couch behind you. A movement of your hands up or down in the direction of your feet or lower belly. And if you have your eyes closed, you might feel your eyes being shut, closed, and then bring your attention to your head and to your nose, and let the idea come over you to nod a little bit your head. So when you move your hands upwards overhead, it's almost like you would follow your hands with your nose. Is that a movement that's easy available, or is your head stuck in its position? Can you also move your head a little bit together with your hands up and down, like keep your nose pointing towards your hands? And would you have to lift your head in order to follow your hands, or can you rest your head and slide the back of your head on the floor? So instead of dropping your arms, if you would like to rest, of course, you can rest your arms for a moment on the floor, or you could let go of your hands and just have your hands free floating in space, so you can feel the difference of having your hands interlaced or having your hands free floating. That's a different feeling when the hands are separate. Oh, there's so much possibility for movement. But when you have your hands interlaced, in which way you interlace your hands, by the way? How do you interlace? How do your fingers find each other? Do you have to look at your hands in order to be able to interlace them? Or can you interlace your hands blindfoldedly and de-interlace? Take a short rest. Just a short rest. Bring your arms down on the floor. A short rest, and feel how you rest on the floor. On the floor, where do you place your head? Is your head a little bit closer to your left shoulder, or is it a little bit closer to your right shoulder? Can you start to feel these differences, these nuances? Our habits, our most comfortable habits. Where is your posture? Where do you place yourself your parts in relation to each other. And then only lift your left hand towards the ceiling, extend your left arm, but turn your left arm so that your thumb of your left hand is pointing towards your feet. The palm of your left hand is pointing outwards, and your fingers are pointing towards the ceiling. And then with your right hand, reach around with your right hand so the palm of your right hand touches to the palm of your left hand, and interlace your hands again. So that's a tight constraint. And see how it is when you hold your hands like this. And again, start to move your hands downwards towards your feet or your lower belly, and upwards overhead, but not too far, just a little bit. And if you have your eyes closed and your nose pointing towards the ceiling, feel if your head can move together with your hand. Or maybe in the opposite direction, when your hands move upwards, your nose starts to point downwards. You could make that happen. Point your nose downwards while your hands are moving upwards, or point your nose upwards while you move your hands downwards. Or you keep your nose pointed towards your hands while you move your hands up and down. And of course, I said it in the beginning of the lesson, there's also left and right, so you can move the hands a little bit to the left and to the right. Or make little circles slowly. We don't want to introduce too much at once. So that's part of the how, step by step, up and down, left and right, before we are moving in circles or little egg shapes or little S shapes meandering the hands, which require one or the other shoulder to lift or to lower. Slowly, always checking for tension you don't need, something you can let go of, and still do the exercise of moving the arms a little bit up and a little bit down. And you can feel almost the stress melting away, long-standing tension in your upper back. If you move slowly enough and carefully enough, long-standing tension just dissipating like clouds in the sky on a sunny day. And where would you go from here? How would you add the movements of your feet and your pelvis to this movement of your arms, the movement of your head, the movements of your eyes, your jaw, your tongue? How would you continue this lesson? How would you bring your parts in relation? So that's a wonderful exercise you can do in bed, half awake, half asleep, in the night before you go to sleep, or in the morning before you wake up to face the day. Just extend your arms and move your arms a little bit up and down and left and right, and see, this is the beginning of a story of movement. And what parts, what characters will appear in that story? How will they relate to each other? How will they interact with each other? And then, for a last time, take a rest on your back. Just bring yourself to rest on the back and feel the difference in your shoulder, how your shoulders are probably very likely. So resting more on the floor, you're more on the floor, you can feel the release, and now it's again time to get up, to close this exercise and to come up to sit. So please roll over one side and come to sit, and from sitting to standing, and let's have a look in standing how your shoulders feel now after this little exploration, after moving the arms a little bit up and down. So take a moment in standing to feel how it is to feel the weight of your arms, how your arms are hanging. And then feel when you move ever so slightly in standing, maybe you can continue this quality of movement, of exploration in standing for a little while longer, to have invested these few minutes in movement, and how far can you take it. All right, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little movement exploration, this very short sequence, as much as I have, and see you in the next video.